Hello. My name is Connor Powers, and this is my choice book review for our Models of Leadership class. I decided to listen and read to The Road to Character by David Brooks. I thought this was an excellent book, and it tied very well to a lot of our modules in our class, where we talked about defining ourselves, defining the spiritual side of leadership, uh, as well as what does success mean for us, looking to the inside. It tied very well to a lot of the core themes in this book, and I'm hoping to go over those core themes in this 15 minutes. If I were to give this book a one-sentence summary, The Road to Character explains why today's ever-increasing obsession with the self is eclipsing moral virtues and our ability to build character, and how that gets in the way of our true happiness on the inside. David Brooks reflects on how society's values have changed for worse and shares the deeper values we should start filling our lives with instead. He encourages us to rebalance our scales between what he calls resume virtues and eulogy virtues. And these are some of the main points of the book that I will discuss on some upcoming slides about these virtues. With these virtues, David reflects on the biographies of several historical figures who all descended into humility before rising up strengthened, each resembling a point and a stop on the road to character. And we will talk about that in some upcoming slides. So the first main point I want to bring up are these virtues. What are they? So David talks about these being the desire to be worthy, these virtues. And he gives an example about when he met the Dalai Lama, or when he met several nuns, that they had a glow around them that everyone looked towards. That worthiness. What is the desire to be worthy, and how do you obtain that? And he sees this through two factors: resume virtues and eulogy virtues. Now, resume virtues, he says, are the dominant placeholders for virtues that we see in our society and life today. These are the things such as, what do you bring to the workplace? What do you bring to the marketplace? What skills do you have? Are you good at your job? This is dominant in our society today. And I think we covered this in a few of our modules, where the dominant leadership style in Western culture is the I focus, the individualism focus. Do I have the nicest car? How do I climb the career ladder the quickest and the fastest? How much power do I control at my workplace? How much money am I making? It's all extrinsic values and externally focused. Now, the eulogy virtues, which is the major point in the book, is the things they say about you after you are dead. Were you honorable? Are you a good person? Not only are you a good person, did you do good? Were you courageous, brave? Were you filled with this light, this glowing light that he talks about? And this is a very powerful quote that I put in here. We all know that eulogy virtues are more important, but we live in an educational system, culture, society, and city that places the emphasis on the resume virtues. To us, it's a lot clearer on how to build a great career and build an inner character. And I couldn't agree more with that. Oftentimes we get asked, like, oh, what is your next step in your career? How are you going to get to that next promotion? How are you going to get to that next bonus? But often do we look at ourselves and say, what do I need to improve? How can I do better? What is my calling in life? Those go unanswered. And that's what this book really focuses on. And these virtues that he describes, these resume virtues and eulogy virtues, are really from another source, from The Lonely Man of Faith, and another book. This is where two sides of nature are competing, what he calls Adam 1 and Adam 2. Now, on the left side, Adam 1 is these resume virtues. It is the externally driven Adam, your career-oriented, ambitious side of nature, with the lust to build, create, and discover things. The ideals for this is you want to conquer the world. I want to get to the next promotion in my job. I want to get more money. You ask how these things work, and you look towards venturing forth. And the logic is really an economic viewpoint. Input leads to output, effort leads to reward. Now, on the right side, the eulogy virtues, or what he calls Adam 2, is the internal, humble Adam. You want to embody certain moral qualities, have a strong inner character that honors creation, in one's own possibilities, to do good and to be good. Now, the ideals are inverse of that of Adam 1. You want to obey and serve the world. You don't want to conquer it. What are we here for? What is my calling? You're not venturing forth, but you're home anchored. And the logic behind this is, as I mentioned, it's inverse. Give to receive, surrender to gain strength. Success leads to pride and failure. Failure leads to humility and learning. And in order to find yourself, you need to lose yourself. So the book really focuses on the building of these eulogy virtues and identifying them, summoning yourself, and creating and tracking that. And he shows, as I mentioned, several characters throughout his book, and these are just to name a few here. And each of them identify a stop in the road to character. So as I mentioned, these 5 are some of them that are highlighted within the book. There were many others. And David Brooks creates a roadmap within each of the chapters of people who move from depth to humility and from self to service. He calls this collection of friends an assembly who inspire us, setting us examples of how it's possible to live. These friends show us a specific stop on the road to character, a certain common activity that leads us to our depths, and they're all from a different time, from the past. These friends represent a counterculture in opposition to the world we live today. Much as we have learned throughout this course, our dominant society traits operate within the I or the individualism tradition, and not so much as the we or collectivism traits, or looking to our own success from the inside and understanding our flaws and our depth. These friends lived in a different, realistic tradition, which David calls the crooked timber tradition, which I'll talk about in an upcoming slide. But some of these ideals of these characters that he identifies, he talks about Dwight Eisenhower and how his focus was identifying his own weaknesses. Samuel Johnson was an English writer, and this was how to make use of our suffering. Frances Perkins was the first woman United States Secretary of Labor who worked under Franklin D. Roosevelt. And this was really talking about the summons, which we'll talk about in the next slide. What does life ask of me? I'm an instrument for a cause. My career needs to be a calling. George Eliot was a novelist, developing self-worth through self-criteria, which David calls maturity. And Augustine is an ancient theologian, and it was really the focus of tranquility, gratitude, and perversing our desires, or these externally facing sins, as David Brooks calls it. Now, this road to character and how the chapters were structured. The first part, as I mentioned with Frances Perkins, that calling. What does the world ask of me? What is my calling? Her calling was getting involved with labor unions after she saw a fire where people were just like in 9/11 jumping to not burn. And her calling in life was advocating for labor relations. That was her calling. That's what she stated the world asked of her after she witnessed that. So what does the world ask of me? What is my calling? What need fits my joy? And David really talks about do not chase the extrinsic goals that we have, that we see in Adam 1, the resume virtues. We need to be sensitive to our internal depths. In another chapter, he talks about self-conquest through several of the character examples, that we cannot compromise on the values that we have, even the small ones. Great quote here, small moral compromises on a Monday leads to bigger ones on a Tuesday. And a big focus of these is struggle. Moral failure is not due to weakness, but an inadequate ideal. This was really done and shown through Dwight Eisenhower, where he understood his flaws and weaknesses and worked on them. And these crooked timber traditions, there were 7 points that David points out. We don't live for happiness, we live for holiness, even if it involves struggle and pain. Once again, struggle showing. We're not purely good inside, and we're deeply broken. Struggle against weakness and sin is the central drama within our life. Humility is the greatest virtue. Pride is the greatest vice, and it can lead to failure. Character is built through confrontation with oneself, not others. And this was another chapter in the book, the seventh one. We all need assistance from the outside. Community is crucial. We cannot do this by ourselves. So I know I'm a little over time here, but I want to talk about three significant takeaways that I thought of here. Our last discussion that we had in the course was talking about what we see as success. And I put a class example in there of how to identify what that success is and how to work on oneself. And that was really done by allocating time, where you're spending your time the most. And I noticed that I'm spending the most of my time in my life with focusing on my career and growing that career. And these are really the Adam 1 virtues, the resume virtues. I am focusing a lot on trying to get to the next promotion, and I'm not really focused as much on myself. And this book really taught me that I need to focus on myself, and I need to figure out what my calling in life is and focus on that. I even put into my example that I do not focus that much on community and spiritualism for myself. And I should really focus on that to understand my depths and to build my character as a person, and try to shift away from focusing too much on the me, the extrovert inside of us. Number 2, we have lost the connection with what brings us true happiness by looking within and understanding oneself. So we need to look within and understand ourselves more, as I just mentioned. And number 3, to find real character, we need to acknowledge our flaws, throw away our pride, and confront with ourselves. And I think that's a major takeaway that I'm going to take from the book, that I would like to identify what my weaknesses are on the inside, work on those, throw away any pride I have that I feel with success, and confront that and try to build my character. So I think this book was a great read. I also listened to it on audiobook while I drove to work, and I highly recommend it for everyone. It truly will help, I believe, you not only become a better person, but a better leader, and to improve your communication with others. I appreciate you listening to my talk, and I look forward to hearing your questions and comments, and I look forward to hearing others' book reviews. Thank you.